Hello and welcome to Two Old Gunners Talking Football. I am Statman Rich, and today's podcast is on the penalty system that FIFA employ and the one that they got rid of. So without further ado, let's get into this straight away. The team that takes the first penalty in a shootout has a significant statistical advantage. This isn't a wild conspiracy theory, it's a fact proven by academic studies analysing decades of data. For years, football's governing bodies, including FIFA, have been aware of this imbalance at the heart of their beautiful game. They knew the coin toss before the shootout was often more decisive than the kicks themselves. And for a brief, shining moment, they even had a solution, a system called ABBA, designed to erase the unfair advantage and make the shootout a true test of skill. But after a few quiet trials, it just vanished. It was buried, and the official reason they gave is so flimsy it seems to hide a much darker truth. This is the story of that solution and the secret war waged by football's elite to make sure the underdog never truly gets a fair fight. The problem, the cruelest coin toss. To understand the theory, you first have to understand the crime. And the crime is the penalty shootout. As we know it, the ABAB or ABAB system. For decades, it's been the accepted, if dreaded way to break a deadlock. Team A kicks, then Team B kicks. Simple. Alternating. It seems fair, right? A perfectly balanced duel. But beneath that simple veneer lies a deep corrosive bias. Think about the psychology. Team A steps up, the weight of the world is on their shoulders, yes, but it's a proactive pressure. It's a pressure to take control. If they score, they seize the lead. The scoreboard, the stadium, the very momentum of the moment belongs to them. Now it's Team B's turn. Their challenge is completely different. They aren't kicking to take the lead. They aren't kicking to take the lead. They are just kicking to survive. They walk to that spot already behind the opponent has scored. The opponent's fans are roaring. The pressure is reactive, suffocating. It's not about glory. It's not about failing. Every single kick for the second team, assuming the first team scores, is a kick to stave off elimination. This isn't just a feeling, it's a measurable psychological phenomenon. Study after study has shown this constant trailing pressure has a tangible negative impact on the player's performance. And the data backs this up with brutal clarity. A comprehensive analysis of over 1,000 penalty shootouts found that the team kicking first wins between 55 and 60% of the time. In a sport of razor-thin margins where billions are spent for a 1 or 2% edge, the game's ultimate decider is skewed by a coin toss. That is not a playing field, it's a loaded die. One of the lines from my favourite songs. Everyone knows the dice are loaded. How many moments in football history have been decided by this? Think of the 1994 World Cup final. Italy have battled Brazil to a standstill. Brazil kicks first. The legendary Brazil to a standstill kicks first. Their legendary captain Franco Baresi skies his penalty. Brazil scores. From that moment on, Italy is playing catch up. Each player walking to the spot with the added weight of being behind. The pressure builds until it consumes the divine ponytail himself, Roberto Baggio, who misses the decisive kick. Was it just the pressure of a moment, or was it the amplified systemic pressure of constantly being the team that had to respond? Now let's think of our own country's haunted history, England. Uh, we have a very poor past with penalties, a nation that has produced some of the world's greatest players, repeatedly crumbling from 12 yards out. Euro 96, World Cup 98, Euro 2004, World Cup 2006, Euro 2012. A pattern of heartbreak. In many of those shootouts, they kicked second, chasing the game, facing that amplified psychological burden. We call it a curse. We blame the players' mentality. But what if we've been blaming the victims of a broken system all along? The ABAB or ABAB shootout isn't just a test of nerve, it's a test of which team is better at handling an unfair disadvantage. And more often than not, that favours the teams with more experience, the players who have been on the biggest stages before. It inherently favours the giants over the giant killers. The authorities knew it, the statisticians knew it, and for a fleeting moment it looked like they were actually going to do something about it. The solution that was buried, the promise of ABBA. Faced with this mountain of undeniable evidence, the International Football Association Board, or IFAB, the supposed guardians of the game's laws, finally decided to act. They knew the first kick advantage was a stain on the sport's integrity. Their solution was elegant, smart, and borrowed from another high stakes tie break game, tennis. They called it the ABBA system. The concept was simple but revolutionary. Instead of a strict AB alternating sequence, it would change the order to balance the psychological weight. It worked like this. Excuse me for a sec. Team A takes the first kick, but then Team B takes two consecutive kicks. Then Team A takes two. The pattern continues. A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, until there's a winner. Why was this fairer? Because it brilliantly solved the core problem. Think back to that crushing pressure on Team B, always having to kick just to stay in the game. In the ABBA system, that's shattered. After Team A's first kick, Team B has an immediate chance not just to equalise, but to take the lead. Reactive pressure is immediately lifted and transferred for the first team. The team kicking second has a chance to apply pressure of their own. Imagine it. Team A scores 1-0. Under the old system, Team B is desperate. Under ABBA, Team B steps up. If they score, it's 1-1. But they get to go again. Suddenly they have a chance to make it 2-1. Now all the pressure is on Team A. This system ensures that neither team is ever stuck in a perpetual state of catching up. This wasn't just a theory. In 2017, it was put into practice. UEFA and the English Football League began trialling the ABBA system in various youth and cup competitions, they needed to see if it worked in the real world, with real trophies on the line. The initial results were promising. While the sample size was small, the statistical bias seemed to vanish. Early analysis suggested the win rates in ABBA shootouts were hovering much closer to a true 50-50 split. It appeared to be working. It had seemingly neutralised the unfair advantage of the coin toss. It seemed inevitable that this new, fairer system would be rolled out across the sport. For any fan of an underdog nation, this was a moment of incredible hope. Pardon me. The ABBA system was a great equaliser. It gave less experienced teams, the ones more susceptible to the psychological warfare of the old format, a genuine fighting chance. It was logical, it was tested, and it appeared to be fair. And then, just as quickly as it arrived, the game's elite killed it. The official story, the confusion excuse. After the promising trials, the footballing world waited for the official rollout. It seemed like a foregone conclusion, but the announcement that came was not the one anyone expected. In 2018, IFAB, with FIFA's backing, declared they were abandoning the ABBA system. The experiment was over. The old, biased, demonstrably unfair ABAB or ABAB system was here to stay. And the reason they gave? The official explanation, fed to the public, was that the ABBA system was too confusing. Now, let that sink in. Too confusing. The argument was that the new AB, BA, AB, BA sequence was too complex for players, referees, and most insultingly, for us, the fans in the stadium and watching at home to understand. This on its face, a deeply cynical explanation. Let's break down how weak this argument is. First, the players. These are elite athletes whose careers are built on understanding complex tactics, high press systems, zonal marking, the ever changing offside rule. Are we seriously to believe that they can't remember who kicks a ball next in the sequence? My coach could explain in 30 seconds. It's insulting. Then the referees. These are officials who supposedly master a 150-page law book and navigate the labyrinth protocols of VAR. The idea that a simple kicking order would be beyond their grasp is laughable. They have assistants, a fourth official, and the ability to write down AB, BA on the notepad. The confusion argument just doesn't hold water. But the most insulting part of this excuse is the finger it points at the fans. It suggests the average supporter isn't smart enough to follow along. This is the same global fan base that debates the financial intricacies of the FFP and understands the complex permutations of the tournament group stage. Fans are not idiots. They understand the tennis tiebreak. which ABBA is based on, just fine. The notion that they'd be left scratching their heads is a transparently weak attempt to justify an unjustifiable decision. The second part of the official reason was a lack of strong support for the change. But that's a classic chicken and egg argument. How could there be a strong support for a system that was only trialled in a handful of youth and secondary cup competitions? It was never used in the World Cup, it was never used in the Champions League final. They strangled the baby in the crib and then announced it had failed to thrive. Let that sink in. The confusion excuse is a smokescreen. It's a paper-thin alibi. And when an organisation as powerful as FIFA offers an explanation that makes no logical sense, you have to ask, what are they trying to hide? If you're also questioning the official story and you believe football deserves to be fair, hit that subscribe button, because we're about to get to the heart of the matter. The theory isn't about confusion, it's about power, money, and protecting the established order. In this section, we're going to look at the evidence, the theory, and the real reason. So, if the confusion excuse feels like a lie, what's the truth? Why would the football establishment go to the trouble of designing, testing, and proving a fairer system, only to bury it? You won't find the answer in the press release. The answer, according to this theory, lies in what football has become. It has become a multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry. And in that industry, predictability is profit and upsets are a liability. The real reason the ABBA system may have been buried is that it worked too well. It made the penalty shootout too fair. And in doing so, it posed a direct threat to the financial model that underpins the modern game. So let's start with the argument. ABBA empowers the underdog. The old ABA B system, with its suffocating pressure on the second team, disproportionately harms smaller nations and clubs. These teams are often made of players who aren't global superstars. They aren't used to a relentless pressure cooker of a World Cup quarter-final when they're forced to kick second, always chasing the game. They are more likely to crumble. ABAB preys on inexperience. The ABBA system would have levelled that psychological playing field by balancing the pressure. It would have given that player from Ghana or Japan or Costa Rica the same mental starting line as the player from Germany or Brazil by neutralising the hidden advantage of the powerhouse nations. ABBA would increase the statistical probability of an upset. It would give the underdog a significantly better chance of winning. And this is precisely why it might have been so dangerous. So, this leads to the core of the theory. The business of big football. A modern World Cup is a colossal commercial enterprise. FIFA sells broadcasting rights for billions. The values of these deals is predicated on one thing above all: mass global viewership. And what drives that viewership? The stars. The casual fans tune in to see the big historic nations: Brazil, Germany, Argentina, France, England, and more. These teams are global brands. Their presence deep into a tournament guarantees blockbuster television ratings. Now, imagine a World Cup where the ABBA system is in place. In the round of 16, France goes to penalties, say against Senegal. Under the old system, France wins the toss, kicks first, and has a statistical edge. Their big game experience helps them see it through. The broadcasters get their stars into the quarterfinals. The ratings are secure. But under a truly fair 50-50 ABBA-style system, the odds shift. Suddenly, Senegal has a much more realistic chance of knocking out the champions. Maybe in the next round, a true 50-50 shootout sees another giant fall. A semi-final lineup of, say, Senegal versus South Korea and Morocco versus Australia would be an incredible sporting story. But for the broadcasters who pay billions and the sponsors who want their brand next to a global icon, it's a potential commercial disaster. Upsets are the soul of sport, but for the business of sport, they are a risk to be managed. The ABAB system, with its built-in bias, is one of the most subtle risk management tools that FIFA possesses. It's a hidden thumb on the scale, a quiet safety net to ensure more often than not the big teams, the marketable teams, survive the lottery of the shootout. The ABBA system threatened to remove that safety net. Let's go back. Let's take a look at the heroic Ghana team of 2010. On the cusp of becoming the first African semi-finalist, they lost to Uruguay in a shootout. Guess what? They kicked second. Was that a coincidence? Or was it a pattern? The predictable outcome of a system designed to favour the powerful. Of course, you will never find a document with Project Kill ABBA stamped on it. Power operates through plausible deniability. You run limited trials, then bury the idea under bureaucratic jargon like complexity and lack of support. You perform the execution in plain sight, but you call it a natural death. So, in conclusion, we are left where we started, with a penalty shootout system that we know with mathematical certainty is simply unfair. We had a problem. Cruel lottery of the ABAB shootout. We had a solution, the elegant, balanced and promising ABBA system. And the powers that be took that solution away, offering an excuse so weak it begs disbelief. They told us it was too confusing for players, for referees, for us, the fans. A ridiculous claim in a sport of immense complexity. They told us it lacked support after giving it no real platform to succeed. The official story simply doesn't add up. When you look past the flimsy excuses and follow the money, a much more cynical picture emerges. A picture of a global governing body that may prioritise profit over parity. A picture of an establishment that might view the underdog not as a romantic hero, but as a threat to a carefully constructed entertainment product. The ABBA system wasn't buried because it was confusing. The theory goes it was buried because it was too fair. It was a tool that could have helped David beat Goliath a little more often. And in the boardrooms where the real power in football lies, Goliath is simply too big to fail. So, the next time you watch a penalty shootout, the next time you see a player from a smaller nation walk to the spot with the weight of a statistical bias pressing down on him, remember the ABBA system. Remember the solution that was sacrificed, and ask yourself the question they don't want you to ask. Was the ABBA system truly too confusing football? Or was it a solution that was just a little too fair for those in power? I will leave that final thought with you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.